His shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hey, Farva, what's the name of that restaurant you like with all the goofy shit on the walls and the mozzarella sticks?
You mean shenanigans? No! You're talking about shenanigans, right?
Put those away!
William, move your head. Look at the size of that boy's head. Shh. I'm not kidding, it's like an orange on a toothpick.
You're gonna give the boy a complex.
Well, that's a huge noggin. It's a virtual planetoid. Has its own weather system. Heat, move!
Howdy, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Remind Rewind. My name is Jordan Klein, and I am your host with the most of the time. And if you guys haven't listened before, or if it's been a while, here's a little rundown of what we do. On this podcast, I'll be rewatching my favorite movies, old movies, new movies, ones that I might have missed along the way. And I'll be talking about what I remember from seeing them back in the day, cool facts, my overall opinions of the films. And then I'll also be talking about physical media, including movies and music, collecting and reselling. And I'll also have on special guests to talk about the movies with me. And, maybe we'll watch one together and talk about it, or watch it separately and talk about it. But we'll talk about how they feel, if they feel some kind of way or whatever. But, let's get into it. Today's episode is number 10. Episode number 10 of the podcast. And thank you guys so much for sticking around and sticking with me. Sorry about last week. Life comes at you fast. Life happens, and I guess we didn't make an episode last week, but that's okay. We're talking about it this week, and it's all good. There's more research I've done. It's going to be a good one. So, anyways, whatever. I just wanted to say thank you guys and gals so much for tuning in and listening. I'm so grateful to have people who are interested in listening to me talk about movies and all this other stuff. And thank you so much if you provided feedback and your comments and what you like about the podcast, what you think about it. I am forever grateful to y'all. So thank you so much for sticking around for 10 episodes. We're going to keep it going. See what happens. So if you have any requests, questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me at remindrewindpod@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on the socials. You can message me there. And I have started a Instagram for this podcast and this podcast only. And sorry, I just noticed I was clipping. I was being a little loud over here. I'm trying to get my volume set right. All right, there we go. Is that too much? It might have been too much earlier, but it feels like we're pretty good now. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so follow me on Instagram. It's Remind Rewind Podcast. I'm sharing a lot of movie stuff on there. I'm also doing what's called a Wax Tracks Wednesdays, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But right now I'm doing a giveaway, and this is a giveaway for a free custom VHS tape of the movie Dirty Work. This is a custom VHS that I made. All you have to do is follow me on Instagram, like the post, tag someone, and share. It's quite a few things, but just do it. It's really easy. It'll be fun. Even if you just tag someone in the comments, I'm sure that's probably fine. But check it out. There's a picture on there. We will be doing the giveaway on my birthday, September 11th, my 40th birthday. We're going to have a big giveaway party for the 3 people that are entered, which is like Renee and Parker and some other dude. But please go enter. I'm giving that away because I hit 200 followers on Instagram, which is great, in just 1 month. So thank you guys for following me on there. I will keep you updated on everything movie, podcast related, and anything cool that's going on in the movies. And I follow a lot of really cool like VHS people. So if you're interested in getting involved with that community on Instagram, I follow a ton of those people. So I'll be sharing a lot of their stuff too. All right, let's get into it. Today we will be talking about the absolutely magnificent, and visually stunning Batman Begins. Since its release, Batman Begins has often been cited as one of the most influential films of the 2000s. It was credited for revitalizing the Batman character in popular culture, shifting its tone towards a darker and more serious tone and style. The film also helped popularize the term reboot in Hollywood, inspiring studios and filmmakers to revive franchises with realistic and serious tones. Batman Begins was followed by The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, with the three films constituting the Dark Knight trilogy. Tonight we will be talking pretty much only about Batman Begins. Even though if you have not seen this movie, obviously go watch it. If you have not seen all three of the movies, definitely go. And then right now, I think there's a Joker movie in the theater, the Joker Part 2, with Harley Quinn. Lady Gaga. I can't remember which character she's playing. Terrible at stuff like that. But it is in the theater right now if you're into that and you're interested. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So this movie, Batman Begins, directed by Christopher Nolan. Absolutely amazing. Top dog. One of the best directors out there. He also wrote the screenplay with a guy named David S. Goyer, with a story by David S. Goyer, and the characters are based on, obviously, the DC comic characters, Batman, Batman, Scarecrow, and I'm not sure who else they used from the comic. All right, so it was released in the United States June 15th, 2005 at a minute and 40 or 140 minutes runtime with a budget of $150 million and a box office of $373.7 million. So did really well. Did really, really well. Batman Begins. All right, it's a 2005 superhero film directed by Christopher Nolan and written by Nolan and David S. Goyer, like I said before, based on Batman. The film reboots the Batman film series, telling the origin story of Bruce Wayne from the death of his parents to his journey to become Batman and his fight to stop Ra's al Ghul and the Scarecrow from plunging Gotham City into chaos. So when I found out this movie was coming out, I was super, super excited. This would have been, about 2 years after I had gotten out of high school. So I was living on my own, living with my friends. This kind of stuff we loved. Like I've mentioned before, we loved going to the movies. But in particular, we loved Christopher Nolan. We were already a huge fan of his work. Memento was one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite movies ever. But at the time, it was one of my favorite movies. And I also owned and had seen his first film, which is like his college film, it's filmed in black and white. It's called The Following. I know that it's out on Blu-ray and stuff. It's out there. They re-released it, and it's really cool. If you've never seen it, if you've never seen it, I would definitely check it out. And then if you've never seen Memento, I would watch that one first. Memento is it's like this twisted crime thriller that plays out almost like Pulp Fiction, in the sense that the story is told in like this interesting sort of backwards, out of order, and it shows kind of what each of the characters is doing and experiencing throughout the time period that the movie is based on, which is like a couple of days or something like that, or a day. I can't remember exactly, but definitely check that one out if you have a Memento and The Following, directed by Christopher Nolan. So the home video release, the release of this movie, I mentioned because it made a lot of money. The DVD Batman Begins was released on October 18th, 2005, in both single and 2-disc deluxe editions. It was also released on VHS and UMD video formats. In addition to the film, the deluxe edition contained a featurette and other bonus materials. The edition that I have, that I had in the past, got rid of or sold, and then now have again, it contains a small paperback book, almost like a trade paperback comic. And in the comic is the first Batman story featured in Detective Comics, which is Detective Comics number 27, as well as Batman the Man Who Falls and an excerpt from Batman the Long Halloween. So, it's really cool because it kind of gives you like a little backstory and shows like the real origins of, where these stories like started. Batman Begins achieved first place in national sales and rental charts in October of 2005, becoming the top selling DVD of the fourth quarter of 2005. The DVD grossed, check this out, $11.3 million in total rental revenue. So not only did it make $373 million in the box office, it made another $11 million in just rental revenue. So that would have so it held the top position in the sales chart for the second week, but then fell. But by August of 2006, it had brought in $167 million in DVD sales, which is totally insane. I mean, I don't know what movies do now, but God, that's a lot. So that and, the $11 million in just the rental revenue. This movie was obviously seen by a lot of people and was really popular. So going into a little bit of like the movie and the filming of the movie, as in case you didn't know, Christopher Nolan, with all of his films at this point, was refusing a second unit to keep his vision consistent. So they were just filming as a one unit crew, and that filming began in March of 2004. On a freaking glacier, basically, in Iceland. The crew built a village and the front doors of Ra's al Ghul's temple, as well as a road to access the remote area. The weather was problematic with 75-mile-an-hour winds, rain, and a lack of snow. A shot that the cinematographer had planned to take using a crane had to be completed with a handheld camera. So these, as you'll see in the movie with these awesome shots, especially in the beginning, these big opening kind of fly-in shots, you're seeing Iceland, which just looks absolutely stunning, and it adds so much depth and so much visual appeal to this movie when you're watching it. And so his shots of all these like outdoors and the mountains and all this stuff are just amazing. And then when he goes into the city, unlike Tim Burton and what's his name, Joel Schumacher, the Gotham City did not exist in the real world. That those were sets that they had built. Nolan, he wanted the city to seem recognizable, so he shot exteriors in London, New York, and Chicago. because he wanted it to feel like a real city and not just a set. In seeking inspiration from Superman and other blockbuster films of the 70s and 80s, Nolan based most of the production in England, specifically in the Shepperton Studios. And a set that he did build, though, was the Batcave that they built there. The Batcave that they show in the movie that Bruce Wayne builds underneath the Wayne Manor. He discovers a sort of cave and a sort of drainage kind of thing that was built long ago, when the, I guess, mansion was first built. And he builds the Batcave down there. Well, that set measured 250 feet long by 120 feet wide and 40 feet high. So that was done by a production designer, Nathan Crowley, who's worked on a bunch of other movies. This dude is amazing. He also installed 12 pumps to create the waterfall with like 1,200 gallons of water like going through it. I don't know, like crazy, and used like real molds of real rocks and caves to like put on the wall and stuff. They also used an airship hangar in Bedfordshire where they built the slum district of the Narrows. And some of the monorails were filmed there. And then Mintmore Towers was chosen from 20 different locations for Wayne Manor. Let's see. Arkham Asylum was a real place. It was the National Institute for Medical Research in Mill Hill, Northwest London, England. So a lot of the places he wanted to use, like the Senate House and the University College of London, these were all real spots. He wanted to give it like a real feel. Another thing that he wanted the film to appeal to a wide age range, so that he wanted, teenagers or 10 and 12-year-olds to be able to see the movie. And because of this, nothing bloody or gory is actually included in the film. I never really noticed that before, but it's true. It makes sense. There isn't blood and gore, but one of the main themes of the movie is the theme fear, which supports the story of Bruce Wayne becoming the hero. Director for Christopher Nolan, he stated that the idea behind the film was, this is his quote, a person who would confront his innermost fear and then attempt to become it. And this referred to the film's depiction of the man with fear, but who rises above it. The theme of fear is further personified by Scarecrow, who is played by Cillian Murphy. I guess I haven't mentioned, I forgot to mention the actors and stuff, but yeah, Christian Bale is playing Bruce Wayne and Batman. The theme of fear is personified by Scarecrow, and the film depicts how fear can affect all creatures regardless of might. Allusions to fear are seen throughout the movie, from Bruce conquering his demons to becoming Batman to the Scarecrow and his deadly fear toxin that they are trying to aerate and release on the whole city. The macabre, distorted images presented in the Scarecrow's toxin-induced hallucinogens also express the idea of terror to an extreme. Almost this like debilitating, panic-filled, like bad acid trip or something is how you could describe it, I guess. It's pretty scary. But that would be, I guess, the only kind of like really scary part that might, scare children. let's see here. Critic Brian Orendorff considered Batman Begins fierce and demonstrative in brood, giving the film an abundance of gravitas and energy. And it strays from the lighter fare of Joel Schumacher's 1997 Batman film, Batman and Robin, which contained campy one-liners, and the theme of fear in this movie is intensified also with the help of the musical score of Hans Zimmer and Howard. Oh gosh, where am I at? Howard and Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard. So these guys, the soundtrack is just the score. There isn't any music or anything that's like included. So these guys, Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard, let's see, where did we lose our spot? Okay. They wanted to stray away from the traditional like heroic type themes or any sort of previous kind of Batman theme. They wanted to these two guys wanted to work together, all right? Hans Zimmer and James Howard. Because Zimmer was originally invited to compose the music, and he asked Nolan if Howard could compose as well, because they had planned to do on a collaboration. So those two composers collaborated on separate themes for what they were calling the split personality of Bruce Wayne and his alter ego Batman. So there would be one composer who would make the score for when Bruce Wayne was Bruce Wayne, and then there would be another score for when he is Batman. So it was basically like a score for the actiony kind of dramatic parts, and then a score for the backstory, less dramatic parts, I guess you could say. And they began composing in Los Angeles, but then moved to London, where they stayed for 12 weeks to complete the writing. And Hans Zimmer and Howard also sought inspiration for the score by visiting the sets that on the Batman Begins sets. They wanted to avoid writing music that had been done in earlier films, so that the score became an amalgamation. I don't know how to say that word. Amalgamation of the orchestra, a mixture basically of the orchestra music and electronic music. The film's 90-piece orchestra was developed for members of the various London orchestras, and Zimmer chose to use more than the normal number of cellos. So Zimmer also enlisted a boy soprano to sing in some of the music of the film scenes where the tragic memories of Bruce Wayne's parents are involved. And they collaborated for 2 hours and 20 minutes worth of music for the film. Zimmer composing the action sequences and Howard focusing on the dramatic sequences. So, like I mentioned before, Batman Begins has been cited as one of the most influential films of the 2000s. For the film's 10th anniversary, Forbes actually published an article describing its lasting influence. And they said the became part of our modern vocabulary, and superhero origin stories became increasingly in vogue for the genre. the phrase dark and gritty likewise joined the cinematic lexicon, influencing our perception of different approaches to storytelling, not only in the comic book film genre, but in all sorts of other genres as well. And a lot of people just said, that Batman Begins kind of started a trend of darker films, darker genre films, backstories, reboots, that got that all happening again. The reboot thing just took off. So there's other filmmakers that have mentioned Christopher Nolan's Batman as influenced them, and some of them have been Jon Favreau with Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk. Let's see, X-Men Origins Wolverine, G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra, Van Helsing, Godzilla, Spider-Man, Suicide Squad, Logan, Blade Runner 2049, Wonder Woman. The list goes on and on. Joker, obviously. So, this movie just had a huge impact on everything. It was such a big film of that time, and still is today. I would, if you haven't seen this movie for some reason, I would suggest checking it out very soon, especially since the old Halloween spooky dooky season is coming up. And speaking of the spooky dooky season, I'm putting together a stack of. I'm going to try to do 31, and hopefully I can get the stack started now, and then start watching now, because I think me watching 31 movies in 31 days is a little bit of a task that I would be putting myself up against. But if I still do the 31 movies, I just take a little bit more time and start like in a week or something, I think I might be able to get it done. So I'm going to be putting that together. I know a lot of people do that, for Halloween, for the month of October, they watch a scary movie every day. I'm going to do 31 movies. I'm going to try to get it done. And then hopefully I'll start up here a little bit before October, because, like the meme says, whatever, like September 1st, Halloween decorations go up. It's Halloween time already. So I'll keep you all updated. As soon as I get that list together, we'll talk about it on the pod. And if you guys have any suggestions or requests or things you think I should watch, I'll put them on there. I'm going to try to do it all physical media. But if for some reason I run out of titles, I might watch a couple on some different streaming services. But I'm definitely going to try to hit the 31. So, besides that, we'll talk about the reselling stuff. Yeah, it's going. It's still happening. Making a little bit more sales every day, because summertime is not always the best for getting the sales, but things are picking back up again. I'm finding some really great stuff. I was out in Irving the other day and dropping my mom off, and when I grew up, there was a thrift store that we always went to, right? It was called the DAV. And we went there a lot. I got so many different pieces of clothing from there growing up. And so I dropped her off, and I wanted to go check it out, right? And I went to check it out, and this place is stacked and stuffed with VHS tapes and DVDs. Like, I took a picture, or I took a video. It was like I was looking at this one, like, basically like 4 bookshelves all next to each other, all filled from top to bottom, 2 to 3 rows deep of VHS. And I was like, dang, how am I going to go through all these? There's so many. Like, what's going on? This is nuts. And then I turned around and behind me was like 6 more bookcases of DVDs, like 5 shelves deep, 5 shelves each, 2 rows deep on every single shelf. I was just like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy. So the good thing is they're very reasonably priced. All the VHS were 50 cents and all the DVDs or Blu-rays were 95 cents. I picked up just a couple of DVDs, some kind of weirder things that I hadn't seen, and then just a couple of VHS also. It looked kind of picked over. Like there was so much that you would think like, oh, this can't be that picked over, but the titles were all not great. You know, like it wasn't stuff that I already had, but it also like wasn't stuff that I wanted, or it also wasn't stuff that I think could sell. There were some weird stuff, like it was more cool to dig for like weird things. Like I found like some weird instructional videos that were kind of cool that I never seen before. There was a lot of like Christian propaganda tapes and that kind of stuff. There was a couple of what do they call them? The dank, just recorded tapes recorded off TV. Some of them were labeled, some of them weren't. If you didn't have anything VHS wise and you wanted to bulk up your collection really quick, that would definitely be a spot to go. But if you're looking for really cool stuff, it was pretty picked over. Like the best thing that I found was a 2 VHS, probably 80s or 90s release of Deer Hunter. And then like a Harriet the Spy orange tape, those instructional videos, and like really the movie titles were not that great, so I didn't really pick up that much. Another place that we used to go to, I stopped at. I think it used to be a Salvation Army, but now it is run by. It looks like the same company that runs the thrift store that's near my house. So I went and checked them out. There wasn't really anything there. They had some toys that looked kind of cool, but they were all, I don't know, they weren't in the best shape ever. But I did find a brand new sealed copy box set, I guess older DVD release of Amelie, which is really cool because I didn't have that movie. So it's really nice. It's sealed. It's got like a box, a jacket. It's been a while since I watched that movie, so I'll be excited to watch it again. I know I used to really like it. But it was just a nice copy. Everything was half off, or that tag was half off that day, so it was only $1. Kind of cool. Good to go back in there and just check it out, even though it wasn't set up the same. It's not the same spot, but they had some stuff. I don't look very much at the clothes and stuff anymore unless I'm looking for something for me. Oh yeah, I did find a shirt. Where did I find a shirt? I found a shirt at the DAV. Found a nice, cool, old button-up shirt there. And at the DAV, I think everything was 35% off. So the tapes, it would have been 35% off of, 50 or whatever. But the DAV, it's amazing. It's still set up like almost exactly the same as how it was set up in the day. You walk in, and it's this first big room of all of the clothing. And then you walk through a very small little hallway pass-through kind of thing that takes you into the room that has all of the housewares and some more clothes. And then when you go right, it takes you to a warehouse that has all the furniture that's kind of indoor, outdoor. It's indoor, but they always have the doors open out there. And there's some toys back there. There's all the furniture. And then there's all of those shelves, like I mentioned, of the VHS and DVD. And there's also a very big shelf of games. But they're all pretty torn up, and there wasn't anything like old or anything like that. But, yeah, so that's what's going on with that. We got one more little segment to do, and then we're gonna call it a day. The Wax Tracks Wednesday. So yeah, Wax Tracks Wednesdays. The thing I've been doing is pulling out some vinyl that I have on vinyl soundtracks of movies. This week I featured Where the Buffalo Roam, It is Bill Murray's interpretation of the life of Hunter S. Thompson. It's sort of like a Fear and Loathing kind of thing. It's older. It's got a really great soundtrack. It's a lot of classic rock stuff. Neil Young does some songs, features for the movie specifically. There's a Jimi Hendrix song on there. It's really cool. I used to have that one on VHS. I don't anymore. I got rid of it when I purged some of my stuff for a second time back in the day. But I do have Fear and Loathing on DVD, which is a great movie. The Great Red Shark was like my email handle for a long time or something like that. So that's a great movie. It's also a great book if you haven't ever read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's a great, great book, but also a really cool movie with Johnny Depp. So the last segment we have today is our 5-minute frenzy. So today on the 5-minute frenzy, I'm going to be talking about, let me get my timer pulled up. We don't want to go over 5 minutes. We'll just call it the 5-minute or less frenzy, I guess. The 5-minute frenzy today is comic book / superhero movies. And we're doing 5. It's the 5-minute frenzy. Number 1, obviously, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Got to do it. The comic books, super cool. That's where it all started. And then the movies, obviously, the first one's got that dark grittiness we've been talking about with Batman. And then Secret of the Ooze is awesome. The cartoons are awesome. And then you got all the new movies now that are out that are appealing to a whole nother generation. And then also appealing to a whole nother generation is X-Men. Awesome movies. They've taken it to a whole nother level with all of, just the single features for Deadpool and for Wolverine. Stan Lee is a freaking god. He created this legacy that will live on forever. I remember being in 2nd grade and exchanging X-Men cards with a friend that was in my class, and we were talking about man, what if one day there was a movie with real people that was X-Men? And he was like, that's never going to happen, man. That could never happen. It would be crazy. And then what do you know? Years later, we got it. And they're still happening. And they're amazing. So kudos to Stan Lee and Marvel and all that. Keep it up. We will be watching. Another one, or I guess the third one, is one of my favorites. Not as well known. The movie is Kingsman: The Secret Service, but it is based on a comic called The Secret Service by Mark Millar. It started out as 3 comics, I guess, a 3-part series, The Secret Service, and it's so amazing. Such an awesome story. And they took that and turned that into the Kingsman Secret Service. And then I think there's also a follow-up to that, Kingsman, I don't know, the Golden Bullet or some shit like that. But either way, both check out the movie, but I would definitely check out any comic by Mark Millar. He's an amazing writer. Or Stan Lee, or can't remember the TMT guy. Okay, so the 4th one, here we go. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is the movie. The comic book characters would be Blunt Man and Chronic. So the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, it parodies the film companies. It's a 2001 film by Kevin Smith. He would be the writer. He would be the genius behind it. He still is a genius. It kind of parodies how the film companies want to buy up all the comic book rights and put out movies by them. Okay, last but not least, we will do 2. That would be between Batman Begins, the movie we talked about today, and The Crow, the original Crow, with Brandon Lee. Absolutely amazing movie. My best friend I lived across the street from growing up with as a kid loved that movie. He even dressed up as the Crow for Halloween. The last year we dressed up and went out. We were teenagers and smashed pumpkins and all that. Really good one. Definitely check that out. I heard that the new movie that is out in theaters right now is absolute garbage, but I thought it looked cool. I didn't go see it, but I've heard the reviews are very bad. But since Halloween's coming up, definitely check out the original. So that's our 5-minute frenzy for the comic book movies. Check any of those out if you haven't. And then very last thing, where are we at right here? Movie news. Okay, so movie news. Not a lot that I already haven't mentioned, except that Beetlejuice is out now in theaters. If you're a Beetlejuice fan, definitely go check that out. I'm hoping to make it to the theater, but I'll probably watch that one on streaming, and definitely going to try to watch the original with my kids this year. We showed them a preview, and they seemed not apprehensive, but okay with it. So we'll show them that this year, and then we'll watch the new one shortly after that. I'm glad that got a little reboot. And lastly, if you shop at Walmart, they do have, this is not a paid advertisement, they're not paying me to say this, they have some really cool Lionsgate Halloween steelbooks that they put out. It's a set of like 8, or there's 8 different ones. They're all in a black steelbook with the orange art. There's some modern, it's mostly some modern movies, but if you shop at Walmart, definitely check that out in their electronics section. You'll see it. They've got that, and they're featuring some other kind of Halloween movies, since some spooky dooky movies, since Halloween is coming up. So if you're trying to bulk up your collection, I would definitely check out that Lionsgate Halloween steelbook at Walmart. Thank you guys very much for tuning in for another episode. Don't have anything planned for next week, but if you got any ideas, feel free to hit me up at remindrewindpod@gmail.com. And if I don't hear from you there, you should definitely come follow my Instagram. Like I said, I'll be sharing movie kind of centric stuff from there, and I've got that giveaway going on until my birthday on September 11th. So if you're not in that, please go give it a like and tag one of your friends in the comments. We are giving away a custom by me VHS of Dirty Work, one of the most hilarious movies ever, with Norm Macdonald. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this was the 10th episode of Remind Rewind. And if you've been with us from the beginning, that's 10 episodes, y'all. Cool. We're going to keep it going. Thank you guys so much. My name is Jordan Klein, and you have been listening to Remind Rewind. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks. Bye.